What's up, gangsters, and hooligans, and reprobates, and degenerates, savages, and ne'er-do-wells of all types? You guys are all welcome too. I don't want anybody to feel left out. How about 10 minutes of random? Okay, so while I'm kind of collecting myself here, I've not done a lot of videos lately. I've just been kind of grinding it out. I did a video on decal setting solutions, and I thought that went okay. Kind of had some surprising and interesting results, I thought, but it was kind of an overview that I thought was good. Of course, I missed some stuff. The guys at UMP just came out with their own decal solutions in regular, medium, and strong, like literally the day before I released that video. So Paul is sending me some. So for all you guys that asked about it, I'll get to check that out. I just released a video about stripping paint, and I was surprised at the amount of discussion that that produced, but that's good. One thing that somebody brought up is that they've had problems with resin parts disintegrating in brake fluid, which doesn't surprise me. Resin is a completely different kind of material from polystyrene. So, that just really kind of makes the point that you should not accept any generalities about things that involve chemicals like that, and you should always test before you commit if there's any doubt at all. Anyway, projects. I have been doing quite a bit of modeling, but a lot of it for a couple weeks there was sort of off the bench because I was doing more CAD work on my Tamiya Honda Monkey project, and got another round of SLA parts coming from John Geigel at Masterpiece Models. But then I switched gears to do the front end of the Tamiya 132nd Spitfire that I'm working on, and I'm pretty stoked with how that turned out. It ended up being a lot of work. I said early on that I wasn't going to do a single bit of detail work to it because it is a commission build, I have to say that, and the client doesn't really care that much about being able to take the engine covers off and look at the engine. So, but then of course I'm a weak man, and once I got into it, I could not stop myself, and I spent about 40 hours over the last couple of weeks adding hoses and wires, as you can see. And it was a lot of fun because I really, it gets into the engineering aspect of it, and I like to, get out all these reference photos and see what I can learn about the various systems that are involved, and try my best to, sort of make it all make sense. And there's a lot of plumbing going on with a Merlin, and so it was a challenge. The Tamiya kit also really makes an almost irresistible canvas for doing that sort of thing because the detail is so good, and they provide you with a lot of good attachment points. But what you find out once you get into it is that the Tamiya Merlin is a lot like that really hot chick that you always wanted to get next to, but once you finally take her out on a date and start having a conversation with her, you find out that she's really kind of dumb. And I say that because as beautiful as the detail is, it really is just an approximation, and it leaves this area behind the Merlin kind of empty, and it's not really right. It looks cool, but they have to make some allowances. It's beautifully done. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing Tamiya. They could have done more, but they would have added a lot of parts, a lot of really small parts, and frankly, most people just aren't going to really want to go there. So, and I also go back to what I've said before, that I think Tamiya could do really good if they produced a version of the Mustang and the Spitfire where that you didn't have to put the engine in, and you could just build it, everything closed and just have the clean lines of the exterior. I think you could do this one with nothing but the engine block, the reduction gear cases on the front, this piece, the halves of the blower, and then these engine hangers to hang every the cowlings off of. Anyway, the plan for this one is that the bottom and left hand side are going to be permanently fixed. That's why there's not a complete amount of detail there below where you can see it. And then the top and left side will be removable for the glamour shots, because I just really wanted that for myself. So anyway, lots of lead wire, hairline, vinyl tubing, some artist's wire, and just a ton of work. I think I'm actually going to do maybe a video with some tips and tricks that I've picked up on doing that type of detail work, because I've had quite a few questions about it, and there are some things that I think you can do to make it easier and more effective, and they would take up way more time than I've got in this 10 minutes of random thing. But this is all MRP if anybody's curious about that, which I love because of these delicate, tiny, beautiful chips that you can get out of it. And I'm doing most of that with a soft fiberglass brush. MRP and other lacquers that I've worked with, like Mr. Color, are just weird because if you attack them with a regular brush, even a stiff one, they just don't do anything, and it just seems like they're not going to chip at all. But the soft fiberglass brush is just aggressive enough to get things started and produce some really small holes in that paint. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is this box that I got. I almost showed my address again because I'm an idiot, and but anyway, what's inside this box is pretty cool, and I'm stoked about it. This is from, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, Anwiz, I don't know. Anyway, this guy Tom is in Scale Modelers Critique Group. He's a really talented model maker and obviously a really good graphic artist. And he's been producing some really neat little detail parts, and I think you're going to be stoked about what's in this box. I'm going to take a second to open it because I don't want to use up any of my 10 minutes on that effort. So we'll come back in a second and see what's inside here. Okay, so what I got from Tom and that I was really interested in is this braided line. You can see it's basically just some kind of string that's got that braided texture, so it's really good for certain types of hoses on car models, probably a lot, but some aircraft models too. And the important thing is Tom figured out what kind of string this was and where to find it, and he makes it easy for us to get, and it's in really small sizes. This 0.5 millimeter stuff is I think going to be really useful. He's also, he told me, working on some 0.4 millimeter, so that'll be nice. That gets down to where you could use it as 1/32 scale spark plug wire coverings, so that's good. The thing that Tom started with that I think is really clever are these decals, and what they are, and I am making a mess out of this video as usual, dropping things on the floor. Anyway, I'll try to keep talking while I'm getting this. Tom came up with this idea for these decals. They're generic for things like information placards and that sort of thing. And what they are, and maybe this will show them better than you can see. They're covered with this paper, but on the back of the card you can see they are basically just gibberish or just generic markings. They don't have any actual numbers or letters. They just have little hash marks that approximate that. And so you can use them for just about anything, where what you need is just a semblance of detail in there, something that looks the part, and that will basically kind of add some realism to your cockpit or whatever. And again, you can see what I mean about him being a really good graphic artist. This packaging is just really nice, and you can kind of see with that picture there what he's doing. And you can see all of his stuff at his website right there, anyz.io. So that's really cool. He is also doing some 3D printed spark plug fittings in 1/32 and 1/24, and I thought that I ordered some of those, but maybe not. Maybe I just forgot about that, or maybe they fell out of the box. But you can see what I'm talking about here: resin parts, combustion engine spark plugs, and you can see some pictures of those right there. So he's got some 3D modeling skills too. He's also selling some supplies. He sent me these really nice, super precision cotton swabs, which I'm sure I will find a use for. These are pretty cool. I've never seen anything that was that small and that pointed in a cotton swab. So anyway, good stuff, and I'll talk more about this stuff when I actually end up using some of it, but I think it's really neat, and it's cool to see somebody who's a really good model maker producing some cool products that will help the rest of us. Okay, real quickly, I have to show you guys these because they're so cool. I had dropped the little box with the spark plugs, and I found that, fortunately. And these things are legit amazing. These are actual SLA parts. And I have been getting, some SLA stuff done lately, and they've been really good, but I've never seen anything like these. I hope you guys will be able to see this. The detail on these and the resolution is incredible. Okay, look at these. I mean, I hope you can really appreciate that. I hope the camera will focus properly and that you can see just how crisp these are. And smart, too. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but he's even included a little divot in the end of those that'll help you drill so that you can easily attach it to the spark plug wire. I don't know what kind of machine that he's using to make these, but wow, the surface finish and resolution, I mean, that is just ridiculously good. I'm really pretty blown away. I have never seen anything this good straight off of an SLA machine. I mean, I think it speaks for itself. Very, very cool, and I think worth the extra couple of minutes to take a look at it. But that is definitely well over 10 minutes. So that's it. Adios.